that is the separation of African people from their African selves, from their basic African identities. When you have an identity, it is difficult for another person to impose a set of values on you, because having a positive identity and a solid identity is a defense against being penetrated by aliens.
Switch the momentum and everything, and bring up my father, because he wants to talk about community activism in San Francisco and Bayview Hunters Point, and basically the history of it and how we need to be moving forward in order to actually progress rather than go in circles. And this is Claude Carpenter Sr.
Yes. First, I'd like to compliment some of the things my son brought to our attention about history, because I think it's important for us to understand where we came from. Okay. That we understand where we came from in order to know where we're going. And to say that, I just want to stress that when we have a meeting to present anything, we have to have a strategy of where we're going to go next. It just can't be a one-time shot. So when it comes to our history, I think that is something that we need to incorporate in our future meetings. But I also think that we need to get down to what we're dealing with today and how we can address it. I believe people is power. And what I'm feeling is the ones in this room with the talents they possess, we need to be considering how we're going to leave this meeting and come back to the next meeting and bring more people with us. So what that means is we always have to have a strategy of where we're going next, what's going to be our next step. I just like to share some background. I was born in Bayview Hunters Point back in 1945. So I understand what San Francisco is doing, from seeing it, Bayview when it was a dominantly white community, because when I came here, it was dominantly white. It was just a small minority of blacks, and we stayed in segregated neighborhoods. So it shows what they're doing is they're taking the neighborhood back. And my attitude about it is we need to be thinking about that. And how we, that has a desire to stay in the city, how are we gonna go about it? Because neighborhoods are according to income brackets. And when they raise the income of this neighborhood, we won't stay here unless we have a means of sustaining ourselves, upgrading our economical standards, and this, that, and the other. Now, this is something that I was working on when I first started having meetings in the library back in the 70s. And what we were doing, we were talking about what the city planned to do with this neighborhood and how we were going to fit in, and what that did, that enabled us to go off in different careers. And the careers were careers where we can afford to buy a house in this neighborhood if we chose to. Also, careers that we wasn't allowed to be in. We wasn't allowed to be painters when I was coming up. We were only allowed to be laborers, landscapers. Those are the fields that they allowed us to participate in. So our ambition was to become craftsmen, become nurses, become supervisors or whatever. I mean, to do things, to prepare ourselves to do things that was going to enable us to be able to buy a home in the community if we chose to. Okay. So in order for us to do that, we had to know what the city was going to do and make sure that whatever they was going to do, we had an opportunity to be a part of it. We just can't let them do what they want to do with Hunters Point, but yet us not being involved, okay? So what I'm getting at is that through learning what was going on, it also showed that they didn't have no intentions of including us. I mean, that was obvious to us. Because when they closed down the shipyard, a lot of our parents became unemployed for the first time. They were decent, hard-working people while they were working in the shipyard. But once that shipyard closed down, that's when the unemployment rate began to rise in our community. So what we had to do is figure out a way how to become employed and not wait for them to do something for us. We had to come up with our own strategy. We had to come up with our own plan. And the way we did it is by organizing together.